Imagine standing 1,000 feet in the air with nothing but a narrow concrete slab under your feet. And in front of you, a 200-ton crane that now needs to come down. One wrong move, one strong gust of wind, and everything goes wrong. Because here's the problem, there's no machine big enough to remove it. So engineers came up with something crazy. They take it apart, using another crane, at that same height. And that's just the beginning. To understand how difficult it really is to bring a tower crane down, you first have to understand how it ever got there. During construction, a tower crane doesn't arrive fully formed, it grows with the building itself. Floor by floor, it adds new steel mass sections every time another slab is poured, almost like a structure that keeps climbing using the building as its support system. It feels almost alive, constantly feeding on new sections to rise higher as the skyscraper rises beneath it. But once the building is finished, the roof is sealed, the glass is installed, everything is enclosed, that same crane suddenly turns from an essential tool into a massive problem. At that point, you're dealing with something sitting 300 to 400 meters in the air, and there is no ground crane anywhere in the world tall or powerful enough to reach it and lift it down. It becomes a real engineering paradox. You needed the crane to build the tower, but once the tower is complete, the crane is trapped at the top. It's like trying to assemble a massive sailing ship inside a glass bottle, through a tiny opening, only to realize at the end that there's no way to take it back out without breaking everything around it. That's the exact challenge engineers are forced to solve. The solution comes down to a simple but powerful principle: if something is too big to move, break it down. And if it's still too big after that, break it down again. Instead of attempting to lower hundreds of tons of steel in one impossible lift, the entire removal process is broken into controlled steps where one machine helps dismantle another. The first step is bringing in a smaller, more flexible machine called a derrick crane. Before it can do anything, the main tower crane actually helps lift its parts up to the rooftop using its own arm. So now, at the top of the building, you have two cranes side by side, the original giant that built everything, and a much smaller apprentice that will eventually take it apart piece by piece. And even though it looks small and simple compared to the massive structure beside it, this smaller crane is the one that begins the most critical job of all, carefully dismantling the very machine that made the skyscraper possible. Once the derrick crane is firmly locked into the reinforced concrete roof slab, the real operation begins, and at this stage, everything feels less like construction and more like precision surgery. This is where physics and engineering judgment take full control. The first critical and most delicate task is removing the counterweights. These are massive concrete blocks, sometimes weighing dozens of tons, placed at the rear of the crane to balance the long front jib. Think of it like a giant steel seesaw suspended in the sky. Any imbalance, even slightly, can shift the entire center of gravity. So the process is done extremely slowly and in a controlled sequence. The derrick crane carefully lifts each counterweight one at a time and places it safely on the rooftop. As the weights come off, the structure becomes lighter, but at the same time, it also becomes more sensitive and exposed to strong high-altitude winds. Next comes the removal of the long horizontal jib. This is one of the most challenging steps because the arm stretches dozens of meters across the skyline. It cannot be dropped in a single piece. Doing so would be dangerously unpredictable and could threaten everything below. Instead, it is dismantled section by section, almost like carefully taking apart a giant steel skeleton joint by joint. Each time a section is lowered safely, tension on the rooftop slowly decreases, and the entire team operates with intense focus because every movement is critical. After the jib, the operator's cabin is removed, followed by the vertical mast sections that form the main spine of the crane. Within a few days, the massive structure that once dominated the skyline is gone, leaving only the smaller derrick crane behind on the rooftop. And at that point, a natural question comes up: what happens to this smaller crane? It doesn't stay there. Construction engineering always plans the full exit. Once the derrick completes its role, an even smaller lifting system is brought in. This compact machine is simple, lightweight, and often electrically powered, similar to small hoists used in everyday construction sites. And then the process repeats, again but on a smaller scale. This smallest lifting system dismantles the derrick into compact steel sections, but the process now becomes completely internal. No more long cables hanging outside the building. No dramatic swings over the edge. Everything is controlled inside the structure itself. Steel components are now carried by workers or moved using small industrial carts directly into the building's freight elevator. And here's what makes it even more interesting: the same elevator that will later bring in sofas, refrigerators, and furniture for future residents is now being used as the final exit route for the last remaining pieces of a machine that once built the entire skyline. If any part is still too large to fit, it doesn't get forced. Workers simply cut it down using heavy-duty tools, breaking it into smaller steel bars. Those pieces are then carried down step by step through the emergency staircases, just like regular construction materials. So what used to be a single massive tower crane is now reduced in stages, first into a derrick, then into a small hoist, and finally into hand-carried pieces that quietly leave the rooftop through normal building access. It's a controlled breakdown process, almost like dismantling a huge piece of furniture layer by layer until only small parts remain that can be carried in your hands. But this isn't the only method engineers use. Some modern tower cranes are designed with a self-telescoping system. In this method, the crane lowers itself by retracting its mast sections one by one, similar to how an old radio antenna collapses inward. As it gets closer to ground level, a standard mobile crane from the street can easily reach it and remove the remaining structure safely. In more complex buildings where space is limited, engineers sometimes bring in heavy-lift helicopters. These helicopters hover above the rooftop and carefully lift crane components using cables. It's fast and dramatic, but also extremely sensitive to wind and balance, which makes it one of the most demanding removal methods in construction. And beyond all these machines and systems, there's the human reality. Imagine standing on a concrete platform just a few meters wide, 300 meters above the ground. The wind is so strong it feels like a constant force pushing against you, and even speaking to the person next to you becomes difficult because of the noise. In that environment, every movement has to be precise. Every decision matters. In front of you, massive steel components, each weighing several tons, sway slightly in the wind. And up there, the biggest threat isn't the height itself, it's the wind. Because on the ground, wind is just a nuisance. It might knock your hat off. But hundreds of meters in the air, it becomes something completely different. A single gust can turn a flat steel panel into a massive sail, capable of pulling equipment and even shifting balance if things aren't perfectly controlled. That's why operations like this are constantly monitored. The moment wind speeds cross a safe limit, everything stops instantly. No exceptions. But the challenge here isn't just physical, it's psychological. Every movement has to be controlled with extreme precision. Even something as small as a drop tool becomes a serious risk when gravity turns it into a high-speed falling object. During counterweight removal, the sequence is everything. Engineers follow a strict alternating pattern, removing weight from one side, then the other, to keep the entire system balanced within a margin of just a couple of degrees. If that balance is lost, the structure can lock up or become unstable, turning a controlled process into a serious problem. That's also why most of these heavy operations don't happen in the middle of the day. They're usually scheduled at night or in the early hours before sunrise, not for secrecy, but because the streets below are empty. It's the safest window to move massive loads above a living city. And in those quiet hours, what you're really witnessing is the final stage of a giant's journey, its return to the ground, piece by piece. Because when you look at a skyscraper, you're not just seeing concrete and glass. You're seeing thousands of calculated decisions, engineering precision, and human discipline working together to solve problems that seem impossible at first. Taking a crane down isn't just demolition. It's coordination. It's timing. It's control under pressure. And above all, it's a reminder that even the biggest structures in the world don't come down with force. They come down with patience, planning, and precision.